Welcome back. This is the biggest news you'll hear this morning. Prue is on tenterhooks. Scientists have discovered that the best biscuit for dunking in your cuppa is a hobnob. Now, I don't know whether it's a chocolate hobnob or a plain hobnob. Either way, it takes an average 29 seconds to fall apart after a 2-second immersion. Do you like science in food, Prue?
I certainly do.
Yeah.
I mean, cooking is all about science.
It is. Now, what have you got?
I've got the rich tea, which falls to bits very quickly.
Oh, that's fine.
That's because it's got lots of butter in it and it melts.
I think the rich tea will be too scared of Prue Leith to fall apart in front of you.
Well, you're quite right. Look at that.
Quite
it's
intimidating.
surviving. It's according to those scientists, this is supposed to fall to bits.
Well,
oh, it is.
Oh, yeah, okay, look at that. You've got the wobble.
That looks so disgusting. I don't want to eat that.
Now then, you're back. I'm eating whilst I'm talking to Prue Leith. How rude. She's back on our screens this Christmas as 5 celebrity contestants go head-to-head in this year's Bake Off special. But away from the tent, Prue Leith is also embarking on your first live tour. Now, is this a rock tour? Are you singing? What's happening?
No. It's a chatting tour. I mean, I think I'm quite mad to be doing it, but I'm really excited. And I've had some tryouts. We did a couple in Bath and in Leamington Spa, and then I went to New York and did it.
Oh, stop it.
No, I did, and to New York and to LA, just tryouts. And I tell you what, I now understand why rock stars and stand-up comics want to stay on the stage forever. It's that feeling of a whole audience clapping and standing and whooping and hollering and yelling.
Wow.
Which actually I didn't think would happen, but they love me in America. Mainly, guess why? Because I'm on Bake Off and everybody loves Bake Off.
Yeah.
So it's given me a chance to jump in and do something I've never done before. And actually, I love it. I just chatter away for the first 45 minutes, really telling stories about, behind the scenes.
Brought up in South Africa.
Yeah, brought up in South Africa, a bit of my life, really. But
is it all sex, drugs and rock and roll?
But lots of...
I bet it is, isn't it, you sauce pots? I know this.
Well, mostly, I have to say, it's disaster stories and stories about cooking for the royal family.
Tell us about that. Can you tell us about that, the lobster?
Oh, about Princess Margaret.
The world is your lobster, Prue Leith, as they say.
Well, I once agreed to, when I just out of cookery school, and I'd never seen a lobster in my life, and I was asked to cook lobster for Princess Margaret. And so of course I said yes. And then I was faced with these lobsters, and they were, quite still, and they had rubber bands around them, so I thought, that's OK, I'll be able to kill this lobster. And I'm getting a knife, and I'm trying to kill the lobster. And in walks the butler, and he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm killing the lobsters. He says, you dimwit, they're dead already, they're boiled. I didn't know that lobsters are black when they're alive and red when they're dead.
Oh, really? Neither did I.
Right there. And you see, they're only red once they're cooked.
Oh, my... Has one ever tried to escape a pot when you've put the lid on? Because they can do that, can't they? They can try and escape.
Well, yes, if you're dumping them in water, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
Oh, well, you're not?
Well, they don't like it because it's supposed to be cruel or something. But... I'm sorry to say, but if you're going to kill a lobster, the quickest way to do it is to stab it in the head. We don't want to go there. I want to tell you about my tour.
Yes, it all got a bit dark there, didn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Tell us about your Christmas cooking tips, because I understand, what are you doing for Christmas? I don't know anybody who'd be brave enough to cook Christmas dinner for you.
I'm cooking Christmas dinner, but I'm cooking it in my son's house, so he has to do everything else, Christmas dinner isn't the problem. That's just a roast, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, essentially.
It's all the stuff that goes, the decoration and the bedrooms and
cleaning the loo, sorting out the games.
Yes, and the meals before and the meals after. It's much fun.
But you have a dessert tip, do you? Is that right? A sort of Christmas pudding dessert tip?
Well, I do always make Christmas... instead of Christmas pudding, which most children don't like...
No, kids don't.
But they love ice cream. So if you take vanilla ice cream and soft vanilla ice cream and stir into it lots of either crumbled up Christmas pudding or crumbled up mince pies or a couple of dollops of mincemeat, anything that tastes like Christmas, and then freeze it in a pudding
It's
basin.
like cookie dough almost. It comes out a bit
and
like
then you turn it out, put a bit of holly in it, and you can still flame it with brandy.
Okay, you're so brilliant, Prue.
So that's what I do. Mine's in my freezer already.
You're brilliant at everything, but I understand that you did need a little bit of encouragement to get on stage. As you say, you've got this tour coming up.
Well, I did, because I was so nervous about the whole idea, and I rang up Joanna Lumley. And of course, she does stage shows all the time. And she's an actress. I said, do you think I can manage it? I'm not an actress. She said, honestly, anybody who's come to see you has bought a ticket because they like you.
True.
They're already on your side. And she was absolutely right. I mean, the audiences have been just wonderful. And that's just in the tryouts, when we haven't had any advertising or anything.
And you're going to do question and answer with the audience, which I think every night must make it interesting and different. And you'll just have to act on your feet a little bit.
And it's quite fun, because you have the audience come up with all sorts of crazy things. But we do curate the questions a bit, because you don't want that guy who stands up and wants to make a whole speech about some bee in his bonnet and doesn't actually want to answer a question at all.
Got some sort of... well, didn't you once write a recipe for a newspaper talking about people with bees in their bonnet, and you missed the... It was meant to say tablespoons, but instead it looked like pounds?
That was marmalade recipe. I put 2 tablespoons of black treacle in the marmalade, but I didn't cross the T, so people were putting 2 pounds of black treacle. Awful. But the thing about the questions is that if I wasn't careful, they'd all be about Bake Off.
Of course, they would.
And they're often very similar questions. So we put them into blocks, and we talk about being a woman in a man's world. We talk about business. We talk about adoption, and my daughter, who's Cambodian.
Yes.
And she's now adopted 2 little African children.
Can I ask you a question about Bake Off before we finish?
Yeah.
And Matt Lucas is leaving.
I know.
And that's sad, isn't it? Who do you want to replace him? Who can?
Oh, I haven't a clue, you know. I don't know anything about young comedians. I mean, I'd never heard of Noel Fielding until I met him on the...
Great, isn't he?
And
Would you like an older comedian, then?
Yeah, I'd like somebody I'd heard of.
Who's that? Billy Connolly?
Yeah, well, that wouldn't
Lenny Henry.
No, I get to love them. But the truth is that I've never understood Matt and Noel's jokes anyway. But I do adore Matt, and he wants to do more theatre.
Well...